We have a very specific image in our minds when we think of the Middle Ages. It's an image painted in mud and grime, of peasants and nobles alike caked in dirt, their bodies and clothes swarming with vermin, their streets running with sewage. It's an era we collectively label as the Great Unwashed. We picture them, and we instinctively recoil, grateful for the modern miracle of hot running water and daily showers. But what if that image is, for the most part, a profound misconception? What if our medieval ancestors were not the filthy, stinking masses of popular legend, but people who, within the limits of their technology and understanding, were deeply concerned with cleanliness? This is not a story about the absence of hygiene, but about a completely different system of it. This is the story of how medieval people, without a single bar of antibacterial soap or a power shower, strived to stay clean. The myth of a universally filthy Middle Ages is shattered by the enduring legacy of the Roman bathhouse. Long after the empire's fall, these complexes remained central to social and sanitary life from Italy to Germany. They were not just for washing but were vibrant community hubs for business and leisure. The bathing ritual was precise. Patrons moved through heated rooms, the frigidarium, tepidarium, and caldarium, to induce sweating. They then scraped their skin clean with a strigil, a curved metal tool that removed sweat, grime, and perfumed oils. Soap technology varied geographically. Northern Europe relied on a crude, tallow-based soap used primarily for laundry. Meanwhile, the Mediterranean world perfected a superior, hard olive oil soap, scented with bay laurel or citrus, which became a luxury import in the north. This public bathing culture faced two major threats. The church sometimes viewed the baths as centers of vice and vanity, though monastic rules still permitted bathing for health. The far greater danger arrived in the 14th century: the Black Death. Medieval doctors believed disease spread through foul air, or miasma. They theorized that hot water opened pores, making bathers susceptible to pestilential air in the steamy, crowded baths. A communal soak was now seen as a death sentence. Cities shuttered bathhouses during outbreaks, and many never reopened. This did not end cleanliness. It ended a method of cleanliness. The collapse of the public bathhouse forced a dramatic pivot, moving hygiene from a communal, water-based practice to a private, meticulous system of surface care. The age of immersion was over. The age of personal grooming had begun. With the bathhouse gone, medieval people developed a sophisticated new hygiene system based on two principles: targeted washing and the technology of linen. The cornerstone of daily cleanliness was the basin and ewer. From monarch to farmer, people began the day by washing hands and face. This was a deliberate ritual, not a rushed one. Water was often warmed and scented with herbs like mint or rose petals. Soap, especially the finer olive oil varieties, was a common household purchase for those who could afford it. This washing was strategic. Medical guides advised washing the face in cold water to brighten the complexion, and the feet in warm water to induce sleep. The goal was refreshment and presentation, without, it was thought, risking health by overexposing the body. The most ingenious element was the linen shift or chemise. This lightweight undergarment, worn next to the skin, was a revolutionary filter. It absorbed sweat and oils, protecting the expensive, rarely washed outer layers of wool and fur. For the wealthy, changing this linen daily was standard. Inventories of queens list dozens of shifts. This created a massive demand for laundering. Laundresses performed back-breaking work, hauling water, boiling linens in copper vats, beating them clean, and laying them in the sun to bleach. The sight and smell of clean, sun-dried linen was the true mark of a clean household. To be clean in the late Middle Ages meant having freshly washed hands and face, sweet breath, and, most importantly, a spotless white linen collar. It was a different philosophy, managing odor and grime rather than eliminating it, but it was a highly effective and deliberate one. In a world eaten with hands, cleanliness was a public social virtue enforced by rigid custom. The meal was a theater of hygiene. The ritual began before the first course. A servant would circulate with a ewer, basin, and towel, pouring scented water over the hands of each guest. This was a ceremonial display of the host's refinement and a practical measure for handling shared food. Table manners, dictated by courtesy books, were a detailed hygiene code. Diners were instructed to use only 3 fingers to take food from a common dish, not to return half-eaten food, and to wipe their mouths and fingers frequently on the tablecloth. The trencher, a thick slice of stale bread, acted as an edible, absorbent plate. After the meal, these gravy-soaked platters were given to the poor or to animals. Sharing drinking cups was common, but etiquette demanded one wipe one's mouth thoroughly before drinking. This performance of cleanliness extended beyond the nobility. Monasteries had strict hand-washing rules before meals, and urban guilds and poor households practiced the same ritual. It was a fundamental act of civility. Oral hygiene was also a concern. People cleaned teeth with cloths dipped in vinegar or herbal powders, used toothpicks of quill or wood, and chewed aromatic herbs like fennel to sweeten their breath. The goal was social acceptability, driven by an acute awareness that cleanliness was inseparable from social order. The medieval head was a canvas for displaying status and cleanliness. The unkempt, wild-haired savage is a fiction. Society was intensely focused on grooming from the neck up. Clean, well-kept hair signaled health and virtue. Without modern shampoo, people used herbal washes of chamomile or rosemary. Wealthier individuals might use washes made with wine or even eggs. The comb and brush were essential daily tools. Fine-toothed combs fought lice, while boar bristle brushes distributed oils and added shine. The barber was a central figure, part stylist, part surgeon. His most visible role was shaving, as a clean-shaven face and plucked hairline were long-standing fashions. His other trade, bloodletting, is memorialized in the red and white stripes of the barber's pole. A clear, pale complexion was a powerful status symbol, indicating a life free from manual labor. People washed their faces with rosewater or whey. To achieve the fashionable pale look, they used powders made from ground wheat or rice, and some risked using toxic white lead. Cheeks were reddened with plant-based dyes. This obsession was codified in law and literature. Sumptuary laws sometimes targeted extravagant hairstyles, and sermons criticized vanity, proving the practice was widespread. Characters in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales are defined by their fastidious appearance. Grooming was not vanity. It was the essential tool for maintaining one's social identity. Medieval medicine operated on the miasma theory. Disease was spread by foul air. This led to a sophisticated, if misguided, defense system centered on purifying the atmosphere with scent. Homes and churches were regularly fumigated. Aromatic woods like juniper and resins like frankincense were burned, their smoke believed to cleanse pestilential air. A more daily practice was the strewing of herbs. Fresh rushes, lavender, and mint were scattered on floors, releasing fragrance when walked upon to create a protective aromatic barrier. The most powerful personal weapon was the pomander. This was a perforated metal ball, often of silver or gold, filled with a solid paste of ambergris, musk, roses, and costly spices. Worn around the neck, it was a personal air filter, lifted to the nose in foul or plague-ridden areas. A revolution occurred with the distillation of alcohol. Alchemists and monks learned to capture the essence of roses and lavender, creating the first alcohol-based perfumes like Hungary water. This provided a longer-lasting, more effective scent. The ultimate expression of this belief was the plague doctor's beaked mask. The beak was stuffed with strong herbs and vinegar sponges, a desperate attempt to filter out miasma. While it did nothing against the plague bacterium, it may have repelled the fleas that carried it and offered psychological comfort. This was not mere superstition. It was a rational war on bad smells, which were thought to be the cause of disease. In waging this aromatic war, they inadvertently gained some protection, as many herbs are natural insect repellents. So were they clean or dirty? The answer is a paradox. By our standards, they were less clean. They lacked our knowledge and technology. But by their own standards, they were deeply concerned with cleanliness, developing a complex adaptive system that evolved over centuries. Their story is not one of linear progress. It is one of rise and fall. They inherited Roman baths, saw them flourish, and then watched them decline due to plague and moral panic. In response, they did not surrender to filth. They pivoted. They invented the system of spot washing and linen shifts. They enforced public hygiene through meal rituals. They waged a constant war on bad air with perfume. To judge them for lacking showers is to miss the point. They worked from a different map, where cleanliness was intertwined with medicine and social status. Being clean meant having a body in balance, a home protected by herbs, and a public face marked by neat hair and a spotless linen collar. Their legacy is all around us. Our word lavatory comes from the Latin lavar, to wash. Our morning ritual of washing our face and hands echoes their basin and ewer. Our demand for clean underwear continues their linen shift philosophy. The barber's pole and our use of perfumes are direct descendants of their world. The great unwashed myth tells us more about our own desire for superiority than it does about them. They were not stumbling in the dark. They were intelligent people who created a coherent system to manage the challenges of their bodies and environment. They sought to be clean as they understood it. And in that, they were far more successful and interesting than the caricature allows.